Hi, I'm Jill with the West Regional Branch of the Mobile Public Library, and today I am here in my own kitchen and I'm going to brew another tea. In a lot of my other videos I have talked about customizing tea to your taste, and today I'm going to show you how to do that because I have just gotten a new tea. This is a Licorice Root Herbal Tea, which I have never made before. So I'm just going to go through the process about how I figure out what the best recipe for my tastes are for any particular tea. So for the first time you brew it, I always recommend just stick to the instructions, and that may be a cup of tea that you like just fine the way it is and you don't need to do any customization. I find that I generally like my teas much stronger than typical, so I almost inevitably either increase the brewing time or the amount of tea leaves or both. But we're going to start with the directions first. And this one says 1.5 to 2 teaspoons of loose leaf tea leaves per cup of water at 212 degrees, which is just short of boiling, and then you brew it for 5 to 7 minutes. So let's get started with that. I have actually just brewed my water. So I've just boiled my water. So I'll just grab that tea kettle off the stove in just a minute and get this package open. Okay, so I'm going to do just 1 cup first. I have a teaspoon measure. That's 1, and that's about a half. Okay, I'll put that in my cup. I'll get my water. Okay, and I'm going to let that steep for 5 minutes. Alexa, set timer for 5 minutes.
5 minutes, starting now.
Okay, now while I'm waiting for my timer to go off, let's talk a little bit about herbal teas. The last time I brewed an herbal tea, I did mention that you should consult your medical professionals, consult a doctor or a nurse, call your doctor's office and ask before you consume any kind of herbal teas, because they do have medicinal properties. I just kind of mentioned it in passing for the strawberry hibiscus tea, because hibiscus tea isn't usually billed as a as a health tea. It's usually just sold as a beverage because hibiscus does not have that many medical claims attached to it. You'll occasionally see that maybe it's high in antioxidants or something like that, but people don't generally act like it's going to cure anything. So that's why I kind of brushed over it with hibiscus, because it doesn't have a whole lot of medical effects and there's not a lot of medical studies. On the other hand, licorice, which I am making today, has long been used in Chinese traditional medicine, and also it's been used in Western folk remedies for a long time. And there has been quite a bit of research done on using licorice for various ailments. And they have found that it really does have an effect on people. They found some positive effects in, anti-inflammatory properties, and also some stomach soothing properties. It's not, exactly completely conclusive, because there's a lot of different varieties of licorice and a lot of different compounds in licorice. So, you may consume some licorice and it has absolutely no effect on you, but there is some real scientific evidence that it does have positive effects for some people. However, there's some real scientific evidence that it has negative effects for some people. Specifically, it can cause high blood pressure in some people. There have actually been cases where people were hospitalized for extremely high blood pressure for consuming licorice. Now, they usually kind of went overboard. For instance, I read a study of a lady who was drinking half a gallon of licorice tea every day for weeks, and then she got high blood pressure from it. So, a normal person would not consume half a gallon of this tea every day for, weeks at a time. So, but that is still something to be aware of. So if you are already have high blood pressure, you're on medications, you've got some sort of pre-existing condition, in those cases, you really do want to, call your doctor's office and talk to either the doctor or the nurse practitioner and get their take on, is this something safe for you to drink? And I don't want to scare anybody, because, if this were actually like poisonous and dangerous for most people, they wouldn't just sell it in stores. But it can have drug interactions and so on, just like some foods do. For instance, like grapefruit can have certain drug interactions, but it's still safe to eat for the majority of people. So I just wanted to clarify that on the whole drug thing. I will leave some links, citations to articles in the information box about the research done about licorice root. I got to all of them using the library's EBSCO services, so I can't put a direct link, but if you have a library card, you can easily log into EBSCO and look up those articles for yourself. Well, I am going to take a little break here while I wait for my timer to go off, and I will be back in a few minutes. Okay, so my timer just went off, and now it's time to give this tea a taste test. Now, normally I am a big fan of sugar in my tea. I only like tea if it is sweet. But theoretically, licorice is naturally sweet and is like, 100 times sweeter than sugar or something. So possibly I won't need any sugar in this. So let me just taste it, see if I like it. Well, that actually tastes very watery to me. It does have a hint of sweetness, so I think I'm not going to need as much sugar in this as I would normally put in a tea. So maybe, I usually do like 2/3 cup for a pitcher, so maybe like half a cup for a pitcher. I'm going to put the tea leaves back into this cup and see if it will get stronger if I brew it longer. So I'm going to put the tea leaves back in. We'll set the timer for another 5 minutes, and I will be right back. Okay, it's been another 5 minutes, so I have already taken the leaves out of my cup, so let me give this another taste. Now, that does not taste much stronger. I think to make this one stronger, I'm just going to have to add more leaves per cup of water. And it also makes me think I probably can't double brew this particular type of tea leaf, but since I have another cup here and I still have the tea leaves ready, and that is still very hot, I am going to go ahead and try it just to see. Because it never hurts to do a test. I mean, the worst that happens is you throw out some water. So I'm going to leave that brewing. And now I'm going to move on to making a small pitcher. This is a quart size pitcher. And what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to double the amount of tea leaves. Okay, so now it's time to do some math. This is a quart size pitcher, which means it's 4 cups. The package instructions said 1.5 teaspoons per cup. So 1.5 times 4 is 6 teaspoons, which is 2 tablespoons. Now, 2 tablespoons was not strong enough. It's not going to make a strong enough brew for me. So I am going to double that, because this is very weak to my taste buds. So I think a double is probably going to be about right, and that's just a guesstimate. I'm not going to know for sure that I've got the right proportions until I try it out. So 2 tablespoons, and we'll double that to 4 tablespoons, which is also the same as a 1/4 cup. But it's easier to get a tablespoon in that little package, so I am going to use a tablespoon measure and scoop some leaves into my little basket, which is actually going to be most of this packet. Yeah, I have to say, these little packets is another one of the reasons why I really like loose leaf teas, because it's easy to try a bunch of different kinds of teas without having to buy a box full of bags. Most tea shops will sell you a little 1 ounce, 2 ounce packet for just a few dollars. So it's just enough to try out the tea without you know, without spending a lot of money and not having a lot left over if it turns out you don't really like the tea. Oops, I made a little mess there. Just that up. Throw that in the garbage. Okay, so there's my tea leaves ready, and I also think, okay, I usually do about 1/3 of a cup of sweetener. Since this is a little bit sweet, I'm going to do that 1/4 cup sweetener, and again, a 1/4 cup is 4 tablespoons. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that is 4 tablespoons of sugar. That water is still hot. My tea kettle. A tea kettle usually keeps your water hot for a decent amount of time. Okay, and I am going to leave a little room in there for ice. Put this in. And I'm going to set this aside and let it brew for, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes. Because this one does taste a little bit stronger at 10 minutes than 5, not appreciably, but it didn't go bitter. So I know this is not one of the ones where I have to be careful about tannins in it brewing for too long. So I am going to set a timer and I'll wait for this to finish brewing, and I'll come back and check with you later. Okay, my licorice root tea has been brewing for, I don't know, maybe an hour, because I got off doing other things and forgot it was brewing. But since the other one didn't get bitter or anything, it's probably fine. Let me just take this out and give it a taste. Well, here. That is much better than the other version, both with the sweetness and it is, you know, much stronger flavored. It's actually got some real licorice flavor to it. I don't know if I would put this in my regular rotation of things to drink, but it's not bad. And if it does have actual like anti-inflammatory and stomach soothing properties, it might be worthwhile. Like I said, it's okay tasting, but I don't love it. It is a little bit lukewarm right now. I'm going to put it in the refrigerator, let it cool off, and maybe after it's ice cold it will be more to my taste. And I also left this one steeping, so let's see if this double brewed or not. That has a very slight tinge of flavor to it, but not much. So I would say licorice root probably is not one that you can steep twice. Okay, so there we go. Yeah, I found out that the brewing time on licorice doesn't make it more bitter. That if you want it stronger, you have to add more leaves, and I think about twice the recommended amount is probably about right for me. It did come out with the appropriate amount of sweetness, because I could tell from the test brew that you know, it didn't need as much sweetener as teas typically do to suit my taste. I don't know if I will necessarily get this tea again unless, you know, it tastes much better ice cold, or possibly if I notice that it has some health benefits, I might keep drinking it. But I do think that I have got the, you know, best brew that is possible for this particular tea. If you have any questions about figuring out the best way to customize your tea brewing, leave them down below. And as always, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.